Well, this oil disaster in the Gulf has us all really worried about everything from an underwater volcano that threatens the existence of humanity, to toxic dispersants that threaten the existence of humanity, to the fulfillment of biblical prophecy, Hopi prophecy, and Credo Mutwa prophecy. But I'm kind of wondering, what is this oil spill really about when it comes to the New World Order? So I figured, who better to ask than the globalists themselves? First of all, let me refer back to the conference that we attended, the International Economic Forum of the Americas. It all hinged on carbon dioxide, man-made climate change, and the need for green energy. So from this we know that green energy is a big part of the New World Order agenda for the near future. Here's an article from the Council on Foreign Relations, Obama's low-octane energy message, from Michael A. Levi, Senior Fellow for Energy and the Environment and Director of the Program on Energy Security and Climate Change. So what he says basically is that during the Oval Office speech on June 15th, Obama didn't really go for it, that he had an opportunity to push what they refer to here as big ideas. He says Obama talked mostly about the Gulf oil disaster, which is understandable. He did go a little further. He says to make a case for a new energy future, but he didn't really go far enough. I mean, the globalists aren't really satisfied what he did. But the thing is that they understand that to bring in the big change, big ideas as they refer to it, you can't just say, well, here's this radical new idea that I have, because you're going to lose political support. So what you got to do is arrange it so that people want that. He says he talked about problems that oil causes, which would help solidify support. So they need to understand that oil is a problem, right? Of course, having a huge spill kind of helps that, doesn't it? Most Americans already understand. He says that dependence on oil costs the country a lot of money, and they understand now that there are serious environmental consequences to their dependence on oil. But what they still don't understand is what it's going to take to change the situation. So what the president could have done maybe was go for it a little bit more with what Levi refers to here as more ambitious agendas for slashing U.S. oil dependence than what the president endorsed. Says that some may criticize him for not having pushed a climate change bill, but that might have been too much to ask. Reducing U.S. oil consumption. So some of the solutions they propose here, one of them was taxing all oil products, phasing in a gasoline tax of $1.70 per gallon by 2030. Got to go at it slowly though. But also taxing all oil-based products, because gasoline only accounts for 50% of oil consumption or something like that. So yeah, isn't just about everything that we use based on oil in some way? So wouldn't that mean like a tax on just about everything? Oh, a couple other ideas were ending heating oil use. Oh yeah, don't forget the biofuels. And changing to hybrid vehicles and things like that. And the benefits of this is less vulnerability to oil price shocks and cutting greenhouse gas emissions. Oh, and as Ian Perry points out, one reason why the U.S. would want to reduce the economy's dependence on oil is that dependence on oil suppliers that are hostile to Western interests may hinder U.S. foreign policy. So to sum it up, I guess, to me it looks pretty obvious now that I look at this. The goal here is to demonize oil, basically. Oil is the problem. Our consumption of oil is the problem. We are the problem, of course. And we need to move away from being dependent on oil. But see, the public's not just going to, get on board with that right away. You've got to give them a situation where they think, oh yeah, definitely, we need to do something about this. And that'll be good for all the green energy companies that were present at the New World Order conference. And in our local paper, Congressman apologizes to BP. Yeah, Congressman Barton, who gets a lot of money from BP, actually, who's gotten a lot of money from them in the past, apologized because now BP is supposed to be held accountable. They're going to have to pay out lawsuits. It's like $20 billion worth of lawsuits and things like that. Or they're going to have a fund that's like $20 billion to compensate all those people living on the Gulf Coast who've been damaged by this disaster. But the good thing for BP is that they can just write it off on their taxes. So, you know, the CEO of BP says he's okay with it. So on the same page, though, you see you have this article, Carbon Emissions Harming the Oceans. Oh, look, the little sweet, fluffy, poor little penguins. Well, the carbon is coming from oil emissions, obviously, and it's acidifying the oceans, and the little fluffy penguins are going to die. So that's another reason why we have to reduce our dependence on oil and carbon. Stop making so much carbon. It's going to ruin the planet. Look. Look at the penguins. Do you want to be responsible for killing fluffy little penguins? Stop being so selfish. So, basically at this point, I don't really think it's the end of the world anymore. I think it's just a false flag that they're doing to advance this green energy agenda. And that's what it really looks like to me. Of course, it is the end of the world in the bigger picture. I'm just saying it's not the end of the world right now. Because if you read Revelation, it's still happening, but I think it's supposed to happen in order, and we're just not quite there yet, but we're getting close. But I don't think it's happening right now. I don't think it's the end of the world.